Tonight we celebrate 20 years of D-backs baseball. It's opening week around the majors, presented by Humana. And the Rockies are here as the D-backs look to begin this year with a 3-game sweep of Colorado. The Purple's in place for the D-backs and the Rockies on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field and welcome as always. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly along the way. D-backs looking to sweep Colorado here to start the season. It was 20 years ago today, March 31st, 1998, that Bob Brenly, you were right here in this booth when Andy Benes threw a pitch to George Fabregas. D-backs baseball was born, and we celebrate that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix has always been a great baseball city. The Pacific Coast League was here for over 30 years, but to actually get Major League Baseball in the Valley of the Sun, what a moment, what a 20-year span it has been. That was a tremendous opening night here at then Bank One Ballpark. Skydivers dropping in and Andy Benes delivering the first pitch to Mike Lansing. That ball probably headed for the Hall of Fame.
Mike Lansing is here. They just recreated that moment a minute ago on the field. We go from Andy Benes 20 years ago. Fast forward to Zach Greinke tonight.
A lot of concern over Zach once again this spring about his velocity and, of course, the minor groin strain toward the end of camp. But one thing we know for sure, Zach loves to pitch in this ballpark. 18 starts here last year. He went 13-1. Opponents hit barely 200 against him.
The 1998 replica jerseys are in place. The brooms are out. Welcome as always. It's D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By APS. APS works 24/7 to keep you plugged in, powered up, and connected. By Gila River Hotels and Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up for the card today. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. Conditioning and plumbing, choose Chaz. By Santan Ford, we are Santan Ford. And by Jack in the Box. This season, D-backs home runs score free jumbo jacks only at Jack in the Box. 20 years ago today, right in this ballpark, it was Andy Bennis against the Rockies. Tonight, it's Zack Greinke. D-backs look for the sweep. First pitch is next. The first game right here at then Bank One Ballpark against the Colorado Rockies. Fast forward 20 years tonight at Chase Field, the same Rockies on the verge of getting swept by the D-backs. Welcome in, it's hazy and warm. Comfortable at 91, Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly, and Kate Longworth along the way. D-backs a chance to begin the 2018 season with a 3-game sweep here. It would be the D-backs' first 3-0 start in 6 years, and just the 3rd in club history as they take the field in the 1998 replica uniforms.
I think the biggest difference between 20 years ago today and tonight is 20 years ago there were no expectations. It was a Band-Aid team. Guys were plucked from other organizations and thrown together, and it took a while to round them into a team, but now the expectations are extremely high, and here's the lineup that Zack Greinke will face tonight. Charlie Blackmon will lead it off out in center field. DJ LeMahieu at second base. Nolan Arenado down at third. Carlos Gonzalez in right field. Gerardo Parra out in left field. Ian Desmond at first base. Trevor Story at shortstop. Tony Walters doing the catching tonight for right-hander German Marquez.
Rockies lineup brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers. Your Ram truck starting pitcher for the D-backs is the right-hander Zack Greinke. And his season debut pushed back a couple of days by a mild groin strain this spring. But Zack coming off the 4th All-Star season of his career, a 17-game winner for the D-backs last season.
Yeah, for the most part, if you wanted to see Zack Greinke pitch in the Cactus League, you had to go to one of the backfields. He did a lot of his work in minor league games in preparation for this season. And I think Zack probably could have been pushed into that opening day start, but what's the rush? You know,
exactly.
We got 2 good guys that started the first 2 games, and now Zack can finish it off here against the Rockies.
For a look around the diamond, E.D. Marshall Jewelers has the D-backs defense.
Gerard Dyson getting his first start out in right field tonight. A.J. Pollock once again in center with David Peralta in left. It'll be Jake Lamb and Nick Ahmed on the left side of the infield. Daniel Descalso getting the start at second base tonight with Paul Goldschmidt at first. Jeff Mathis, as usual, behind the plate for right-hander Zack Greinke.
Hugh Matta gives us a look at the umpiring crew tonight. Corey Blazer has the balls and strikes behind the plate. Stu Sherwater at first base, the crew chief Gary Cederstrom at second, and Eric Cooper's at third. D-backs will put the shift on for the leadoff man Charlie Blackmon as they go for a 3-game sweep of the Colorado Rockies. In the very same spot where 20 years ago today the Diamondbacks were born. First pitch fastball is strike one. The numbers on Blackmon last year, the National League batting champion at .331. His only hit in the series was the 3-run home run to center field last night in the 4th inning against Robbie Ray. Cleared the yellow line in dead center. The Rockies don't often hit 3 home runs in a game and lose, but that was the case last night.
A lot of offense from the Diamondbacks once again, especially in that first inning. They put a 5 spot up, highlighted by Nick Ahmed's home run.
Fights off a fastball at 90 miles an hour from Greinke.
Yeah, we touched on it in the open of the show. A lot of concern once again this spring for Zack Greinke's velocity, and we'll repeat what we said last year at this time. Velocity is not his game. Command and control, moving the ball around the strike zone, changing speeds. That's when he's at his best. As long as he's got that fastball around 90 miles an hour, he'll be just fine.
Zack pitched right here Monday night, an exhibition game against Cleveland, and was extremely effective. 6 scoreless innings. He allowed only 1 hit through 75 pitches, retired the first 10 batters he faced in that start, and set down the last 7. He said afterward, "I wish this one counted." Full count on Blackmon, 3-2 with LeMahieu on deck. Zack in that game against Cleveland Monday, the fastball sat consistently at 88, 89, topped out at 90 miles an hour. Changeup pulls the string, and Blackmon goes down swinging.
I think one thing that makes that pitch so effective is the fact that he grunts when he throws it, and then it's an off-speed pitch. Not that a hitter is listening to what the pitcher's throwing up there, but Zack sells that changeup really well.
You probably don't have time to think, okay, he grunted. Is he faking it or not? Oh, too late. DJ LeMahieu, .310 last year, 8 home runs. 5th in the National League in hits and 7th in batting average. LeMahieu homered off Patrick Corbin in his first at bat of the year. And that's still his only hit in this series, although he did walk 3 times last night. There's Patrick, the opening day winner for the D-backs. Robbie Ray, the winner last night, right behind. This is hit deep to center field. Peralta drifting over. Pollock is there. They play it off the wall. And LeMahieu has a 1-out double.
Well, I think we're seeing why the Diamondbacks aren't playing the reverse shift on DJ LeMahieu this year. He pulled the home run against Patrick Corbin to straightaway left field and drives this ball just to the left to straightaway center. It's at the top of the padding there, comes back to A.J. Pollock. They're able to hold him to a double.
He's at second with 1 out for Nolan Arenado, who last season had 37 home runs, 130 RBIs. The first third baseman in Major League history with at least 130 RBIs in 3 consecutive seasons. And he finds himself at an RBI opportunity right here. 90 on the fastball, and it's 0-1.
I love to watch Arenado in that batter's box. As he's waiting for Zack to deliver that pitch, his feet start to get antsy. He rocks back on the back foot, on the front foot. Eventually he closes up that left foot. The front foot hits out of a slightly closed stance. Watch his feet. You get the feeling if Zack just held the ball out there on the mound, Arenado would end up on the mound with him.
Or in a 3-foot hole in the batter's box. Arenado has 4 hits in the series. He homered in the opener. He singled and doubled last night. That foot right on the back line in the right-hand batter's box. Just got a piece of that slider. It's still 0-2. Arenado, as you can see, last year an RBI machine. '91 down and away, a ball and 2 strikes. Torey Lovullo says when Zach Greinke is healthy, he is a staff anchor. He gets in a rhythm and just starts to shut down very, very good offenses. And that's certainly a key for the D-backs this year. You look for Zach's turn every 5th day. Goes to the slider and he strikes out Arenado. 2 down.
Well, so much for that theory about grunting on changeups. This is a slider that starts on the outside third of the plate, breaks just off the corner to get a real good hitter to chase a bad pitch.
Carlos Gonzalez walked and singled twice last night, had an RBI and scored a run. The cargo shift is on for the D-backs. Jake Lamb near the bag at third, the only defender on the left side. I imagine, Bob, in Jake's position right here, he's got to be well aware of where LeMahieu is, because it might turn into a foot race to that third base bag.
Yeah, you really have to gauge how quickly you can get from your defensive position to that base after the ball crosses the hitting area. And, you know, DJ LeMahieu's not a burner. He did steal 23 bases back in 2015, but he's got a lot of room out there now at second base.
Inside with a fastball. It's 2-0.
You know, partner, you mentioned earlier the Rockies hit 3 home runs last night and lost the ball game. Last season, when they hit 3 or more homers, they were 22-2.
Wow. Well, so far this year they are 0-2 overall. First time in 4 years the Rockies have started 0-2. Last time they lost 3 straight to open a season, 1994. Hard changeup off the plate. It's 3-0. Gerardo Parra on deck. There's a look at the defense. Nationwide Vision Center's eye on the game. You can see Lamb at third, sizing up LeMahieu standing on second. You can't stray too far from that third base bag. .30 fastballs in there.
Well, this has looked a little bit like a pitch around here with first base open and another left-handed hitter in the on-deck circle in Gerardo Parra. And I think Torey's more willing to do that with Zach Greinke. He's done this many, many times throughout his career. Work with an open base and try to get that hitter to nibble at something off the edges of the plate. If he walks him, he doesn't really care.
Lifted in the air along the left field line. Long way to go for Peralta, and he runs it down. The freight train in foul ground. And Greinke strands the one-out double. 20 years of D-backs baseball. Diamondbacks coming up. Starting pitcher for the Rockies, it's the 23-year-old right-hander, Germán Marquez. 11-7 in 29 starts last year. He led all major league rookies in strikeouts.
Yeah, very impressive young arm. Basically a fastball curveball combination. He'll mix in an occasional changeup, an occasional slider. Didn't have a great Cactus League. Gave up 18 hits in 11 innings. His ERA was just a tick under 10 in the Cactus League.
David Peralta leads it off for the D-backs. Marquez will throw hard. That one in there at 96. Peralta's numbers last year. That's out of play. He walked twice and scored a run last night. Had 3 singles in the opener. Valley Chevy Dealers has the Diamondbacks lineup.
Peralta leading it off out in left field. A.J. Pollock in center. Paul Goldschmidt at first base with Jake Lamb across the diamond at third. Daniel Descalso playing second. Gerard Dyson out in right field tonight. Nick Ahmed with a home run last night. He'll be at shortstop. Jeff Mathis doing the catching, and Zach Greinke on the mound.
I am digging these throwback unis, by the way. They look good. Peralta rolls one into right center. He'll take a big turn and stop at first. He's on board again. A look around the diamond. E.D. Marshall Jewelers has the Rockies defense.
Former D-back Gerardo Parra in left field. Charlie Blackmon in center. Carlos Gonzalez over in right. It'll be Arenado and Story on the left side of the infield. LeMahieu and Desmond on the right side. Tony Walters doing the catching for right-hander Germán Marquez.
A.J. Pollock. A big night last night. He doubled, tripled, scored twice, drove in 2 runs. AJ has now hit safely in 8 straight regular season games against the Rockies. That's ball 1.
I expect the Diamondbacks offensively to be very aggressive against Marquez. He's a guy that threw his fastball about 70% of the time last year. He really likes his heater.
That's by Arenado and into left. Here comes Paul Goldschmidt.
Hard hit ball down to third base. You'll notice Arenado leaves his feet on this ball, and anytime you leave your feet and the ball gets through, chances are they're going to call it a base hit. He came up a little early with the glove that time. Very odd to see Nolan Arenado misplay a ball down there at third base.
A chance for Goldie. Still looking for his first base hit in 2018. He's walked 4 times and scored twice so far. Last year, those 36 home runs matched a career high. Diamondbacks have scored in the first inning in 5 straight games versus the Rockies. They have 2 on and no out to start this one.
8 of the 17 runs they've scored this season have come in the first inning.
A 3-run first in the opener, 5 runs in the first last night.
You see 96 on that fastball down there around the knees. This guy's got a good arm, just has to figure out how to use all his secondary weapons to go along with that good fastball.
That big curveball he's got is a very effective strikeout pitch for him. He'll get swings and misses with it. But beyond the fastball and the curveball, there's just not a whole lot else. That's been a problem for Germán Marquez. Diamondbacks saw a good deal of this guy last year. 6 starts against the D-backs. Marquez was winless, 0-3 in an ERA over 4.5. He looks at a fastball. 99 for Marquez. 1 down.
Sometimes you just have to tip your cap and walk back to the dugout. 99, maybe a tick off that outside corner, but that's nearly an unhittable pitch right there. Nice job by the catcher for the Rockies to hold it right there on the corner and get the call.
Tony Walters back there tonight. A chance for Jake Lamb now. Last year, career high totals for homers and RBIs. Jake with 3 hits and 4 runs batted in to begin the year. Last night he walked, singled, scored a run. He's got Peralta at second, Pollock at first, and 1 out. It is in these situations to begin this series the Diamondbacks have thrived. And against these Rockies, as we know, when you have a chance to put your foot on the gas pedal, you better go, go, go.
Go, go, go is right.
There it is. Diamondbacks this year started out 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position, but since that moment, 9 for 19. Lamb down 0-2.
Well, if the first 2 games are any indication, Jake Lamb is going to have an opportunity to drive in about 500 runs this year. Every time he comes to the plate, there's at least 2 teammates on base.
Try that fastball. Looked pretty good from here, but Corey Blazer says no, it's 2-2.
He's way inside. Marquez throws the ball out to the outside corner. Pretty close right there, but anytime a catcher has to reach from one side of the plate to the other, you're probably not going to get a borderline call.
Hard to frame a pitch like that misses by 3 feet. Bounce to second. LeMahieu. Story for 1. And Lamb is able to beat it out. Peralta in at third.
Well, this is one time you're fortunate you didn't hit it real hard. A little slow hopper to LeMahieu. Very slow developing double play, and the throw pulls Desmond off the bag, although Jake beat it anyway.
Well, it'll be up to Daniel Descalso. No challenge from Bud Black. First start of the year for Descalso. 10 home runs, 51 RBIs last year, both career highs for Daniel. So far he has walked and flied out in a pair of pinch hit appearances. First and third, 2 down. Left field, Parr coming in. 2 on, no outs, but a goose egg goes up. No score after 1.
with a little worry when Zach Greinke left that spring training game early with that strain growing, but he said his worry was short-lived because he knows how dedicated Zach is to his regimen and getting ready, whether it's the off-season, spring training, or game day. He said he knew Zach would come tonight with a game plan ready to go, a detailed game plan, he added, guys. And for Jeff, he said this is like opening night for him, and even more special, it's his 35th birthday. Last time he played on his birthday, he was 2 for 4 with a home run and double. So we'll see what this battery can do tonight.
Kate, some nice synergy there. I like it. All right, O'Para leads off the second. Lines it right to Descalso. 1 away. That'll bring up Ian Desmond, the first baseman. Desmond singled and homered, scored twice last night. He's got 3 hits in the series. Last night he almost hit Judd in the right field corner. Our cameraman
took a fastball off the outside corner of the plate and stayed right on it.
Ouch.
Just inside the foul pole down there in the right field corner. You need a helmet.
I thought we were getting the hee-haw salute right there. 1-1. Well, Zach Greinke, as Kate mentioned, his spring training was a bit of a roller coaster ride, kind of a mixed bag of circumspect backfield B games and shortened Cactus League starts. As he dealt with that groin strain, velocity was down a bit, and he was pretty frank in admitting that he had some fears that his stuff wouldn't be ready in time to begin the year. As Desmond knocks that into center, but Greinke was efficient and effective here Monday in the final game he had this spring against Cleveland, and so far so good tonight. Time now, Bob, for your Valley Honda dealers key to the game.
Well, any anniversary, you want to make it a happy anniversary, and the best way to do that is to beat the Rockies here one more time, sweep this series, and then enjoy an Easter Sunday off. I don't know if that's ever happened in the game of baseball before.
It's never happened in Rockies history. They'll be off before they go to San Diego on Monday. Here's Trevor Story, the shortstop. Desmond got a good jump. Story fouls it back. Trevor Story has had 9 plate appearances so far. He has singled once and struck out 7 times. Of course, you remember opening day 2 years ago here at Chase Field. He homered twice against Zach Greinke in Greinke's D-backs debut.
Talk about making a splash. We'd heard a lot about Trevor Story, but come on, that's showing off.
Yeah, 51 career home runs, the most by a shortstop through their first 2 seasons in baseball history. But first, you got to make contact, and that's been an issue as we've seen so far. Long set by Greinke. Story hits that foul down the right field line. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Souvenir from the first series of the year. Good crowd here tonight. A lot of people wearing their 1998 replica jerseys. 20,000 were handed out before the ball game today.
fan in the front row of the upper deck had the ball in the glove momentarily. Oh, not a young fan, but a fan.
Young at heart.
Young at heart, that's right. In the glove. Oh no.
I don't know how the baseball missed that shirt. Nice effort.
Yeah, real nice effort.
Coming inside here. Missed a spot with a fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Story, 7 strikeouts in the series. He led the National League in strikeouts last year. The catcher, Tony Walters, would be next. First time we've seen him in this series. Well, so far, Story has fought off a slider and a changeup, stayed away from a fastball. He's battling.
Now that fan that dropped the ball in the upper deck, you may have noticed he's listened to the governor. He's got the radio on up there in the upper deck, listening to Gub, who was here 20 years ago today, calling the game for the D-backs.
The governor, Greg Schulte, working D-backs radio just to our right here, along with Tom Candiotti, the moral compass Mike Farron, and the great Leo Gilmartin. I did note that if you have a foul ball hit to you and you drop it and you're wearing the headphones, that's a little close to Bartman territory. The circumstances here aren't quite as critical as they were then, but a lot of parallels there.
Well, so far they aren't throwing things at him.
They're not going to have to sneak him out of the ballpark. High in the air, it backs up Pollock in center. Desmond at first, he will hold there. Two outs for Walters, the catcher.
Catcher number 14, Tony Walters.
Tony Walters, 240 last year, no homers. He does not have a whole lot of power, no home runs and nearly 230 at bats, and only 9 extra base hits all year. Converted infielder, now a catcher, backing up Chris Iannetta.
Now they like his quickness behind the plate. Being a former infielder, has really good hands.
D-backs will put the shift on. They'll overload the right hand side against Walters. Jake Lamb, you see him well off the line at third. Fastball at 89. It's 0-1. Tony is a Valley resident. He and his wife Caitlin live in Scottsdale in the offseason. Went to the changeup, and it's 0-2. Boy, you'd really like to get Walters here and have that pitcher spot lead off the Rockies' third. Nationwide Vision Centers, eye on the game. That's the defensive alignment. Whole lot of room over there on the left-hand side.
Well, you bring up a good point, partner. How that lineup rolls over is so important over the course of a ball game. I guarantee you Torey Lovullo is really rooting for an out right here to get out of the inning.
And there it is, the changeup. Greinke has 3 strikeouts, no score at Chase Field.
purchase of a large drink.
Just had a buzzer beater finish in the match game in between innings. A young lady was a winner there at the buzzer. Almost the way Loyola nearly fought back and beat Brad the Big Dog Weimer's Michigan Wolverines. Sadly, though, Sister Jean is on her way home. And Brad is in the truck gloating right now. And as you correctly pointed out, if you're not going to be a football powerhouse anymore,
you got to find another sport to get good.
Try basketball. Gerard Dyson leads off the bottom of the second. Michigan's got a good hockey team this year, too. And apparently Ohio State does as well. Is that right?
Usually, yeah.
All right.
But those are minor sports, you know. Baseball, basketball, football. That's what we want to brag about.
It's a minor sport if you don't do well in it.
Yeah. There was some talk about moving the Wolverines to the MAC, but I don't think anything will come of that.
Sort of fizzled, yeah. Well, Marquez having problems finding the strike zone. He's behind on Dyson 3-1.
And it goes without saying, this is not a guy that the Rockies want to see on base leading off an inning.
Big night for Nick Ahmed last night. He knocked in 5 runs, a career high. Line to Cargo in right. Yeah, 5 RBI night last night for Nick Ahmed. It tied Stephen Drew's D-backs record for RBIs in a single game by his shortstop. It started with his 3-run homer into the bullpen in the first inning, and he added a pair of RBI singles.
Found the hole on the left side there. Next base hit came to the opposite field. Took a high fastball and tomahawked it through that right side. Big night for Nick. Letting out a little shaft right there. We rarely see that from Nick Ahmed. He's up there ready to spin.
Let the big dog eat. 4 for 7 at the plate to begin the year. Double and a homer. Well, Nick was saying last night that, you know, the idea that he's a great glove, light bat type shortstop is just not who he wants to be. And he feels like he's gotten a lot better. Certainly proved it last night. There's that Marquez curveball. That's a very good pitch for him, especially off that fastball. Slider and changeup you'll see occasionally, but they're not tremendously effective pitches for him. Well, Nick was ready for that one at 99. A vast majority of the pitches Marquez threw last year were fastballs. About 65% of the time he threw a fastball. That tells you there's not a whole lot behind that. Like that was the slider right there, and it missed badly. So this spring he tried everything. Threw changeups all the time. Tried the slider, mixed in that curveball. Looking for something off speed. There's the fastball, and Ahmed stays hot. That one rolls to the wall. Nick Ahmed has got himself a double. Stay hot, Nick.
Yeah, baby. Boy, Nick really seems to be motivated, as you mentioned, to be an offensive threat this year. He's not just trying to put the ball in play. He's trying to sting it and drive it. Saw him hit the home run last night. He drives this ball into the gap in right center all the way to the warning track. And that's really good to see for Nick. It was so unfortunate last season. He was on his way to having a nice offensive year until the injury set him back.
I agree. He's got more power than you think. First at bat of the year for Jeff Mathis. Ahmed at second and 1 out. Jeff, as Kate pointed out earlier, celebrating his 35th birthday today. 60 games last year, 215, couple of home runs. There's that slider. You can see Marquez. I mean, that thing, you don't know where it's going. Just can't get a handle on it. And in the end, he'll probably again have to rely on that fastball curveball. Get ready, BB.
I'm ready. Just a buzz.
Oh, there you go. It worked out. Three balls and a strike. Greinke on deck. And with a high fastball on 3-1. If you've got a good curveball like Marquez does, is a high fastball a good way to set that pitch up?
Yeah, it really complements that curveball well. It kind of come out of his hand at about the same eye level, or you see it out of his hand at the same level. The fastball stays up, the curveball breaks down.
Trying to come in with a fastball and missed. First base on balls. Mathis is aboard. And here's Zack Greinke.
See how Torey Lovullo wants to play this right here. One out in the inning. A lot of times you go ahead and sacrifice bunt with your pitcher to roll over to the top of the order with two guys in scoring position. But we know Zack handles the bat extremely well. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Torey allow him to take a hack at the first pitch. Zack Greinke was a very effective hitter with runners in scoring position at the end of the season last year. 4 for his last 10, drove in 4 runs with a couple of doubles.
Desmond creeping in from first. Marquez steps off. And with the runners in first and second, Arenado's got to stay somewhere near that third base bag. Here comes Desmond from first. Greinke pulls back, takes a cut, and lines it into buzzard luck. His Story is there, and they double off Ahmed. Hang with him, no score. The Diamondbacks games on TV. Stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. It's presented locally by your Valley Honda dealers. Download the free app and take Fox Sports Arizona and the D-backs with you wherever you go. Well, Zack Greinke bidding for an RBI there, instead lined into a double play to end the second. And now he'll face his opposite number, Airman Marquez, to open up the Rocky third.
Leading off for Colorado, pitcher number 48, Marquez.
Now, talking about the way the lineup rolls around, and you always want to retire that number 8 hitter with 2 outs in the inning. So you have this situation. You're facing a weak hitting pitcher to start the 3rd inning here. Ideal, you get him out quickly and face the top of the order with 1 out in the inning.
Marquez, Blackmon, LeMahieu, 9-1-2 for Colorado. Curveball. Marquez goes fishing. Zach Greinke last year just sensational in this ballpark, which is considered one of the best hitters parks in the game. 13-1 in 18 starts at Chase Field. 13 home wins for Greinke last year, the most in the major leagues. Just did get a piece of that breaking ball. Zach's Chase Field ERA dropped from 4.81 2 years ago all the way down to 2.87 last year. So just about 2 full runs better. And now he's got a humidor baseball in his hand.
Might have cost him a base hit, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. And an RBI. We did note in his start here Monday against Cleveland, had a couple of loud fly ball outs using the humidor baseballs that may have left the yard otherwise. Marquez lines that off the glove of Bam Bam Balderrama. Our Golden Glover down the left field line. There is Bam Bam. Nice recovery.
That away. Nicely done.
And in right field tonight, we've got the Hick Dog, Mark Hicks. Hard changeup, and it's 2-2. Blackmon struck out to lead off the ball game. He'll be next. Hold on, it's still 4. Yeah, you need one more there.
Marquez thought he saw the steal sign. He was going to try to steal first.
He got the ephus. Maybe that confused him. You think he's going to hear about that?
Boy, is he ever.
Takes a hack at a fastball. Good spot. And there's not a whole lot that the Gold Glover Greinke can do with it. So Marquez gets the last laugh. Swing and bunt.
Yeah, the equivalent of a swinging bunt. Took a full swing, just topped it down that third baseline into no man's land. Boy, and that at bat by Marquez. Bud Black has to be pleased with that. I mean, it ended with an infield hit, but Marquez really made Zach work that at bat.
Greinke has won the National League Gold Glove Award for the pitcher's position for the last 4 years running. So if he can't make that play, nobody can. A chance for Blackmon. Joe's bunt takes a changeup at 89 for a strike. Robbie Hammock on the left there, quality control coach. Torey Lovello, National League Manager of the Year, on the top step. Robbie probably feels right at home in this throwback uni. Looks kind of like the ones that he played in. Slight variation.
Hammer looks good in any uniform. He's still in great shape.
Yeah.
It looks like he could play.
Well, those catchers, you know, they stay in shape.
Sure.
Here's Steven Souza Jr. He seems to be progressing very well from that pec strain suffered during Cactus League play.
Getting a little tutorial on the Rocky starting pitcher tonight, I'm sure. His teammates and coaching staff want to make sure Steven is up to speed with the teams he's going to be facing a lot this summer, and we're going to see a lot of the Rockies, so he's trying to get up to speed as quickly as possible.
Boy, when he was lying on the ground in right center field at Salt River, it looked bad. You thought labrum, rotator cuff, something. It was a tremendous relief to everyone here when it was just a strained pec muscle. And they're thinking just a matter of weeks for Steven. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Blackmon. Dyson in right. Blackmon 0 for 2. Here's LeMahieu.
Second baseman,
DJ LeMahieu doubled off the wall in center his first time up tonight. Diamondbacks celebrating 20 years of D-backs baseball. 20 years ago tonight, March 31st, 1998. Andy Benes to George Fabregas against the Rockies' Mike Lansing. The first pitch of the ball game, and the D-backs were officially welcomed into the world. And we'll talk to Andy Benes coming up in the next half inning. He's with us here in the booth. All kinds of flashback. You were sitting literally where you are right now this day 20 years ago. What does that feel like?
Well, it seems like a long time ago in some respects, and it seems like yesterday in other respects. As I mentioned before, that we just really had no expectations. We knew it was a patched together team, players drafted off of other rosters, and we weren't quite sure how it was all going to fit together, but we knew we probably didn't have as much talent as the other teams in the division and the league. And you know, there were times it was a little rough to watch, but it was just so exciting to have baseball here in Phoenix in the summertime.
Not just in the spring.
Yeah, you get 6 weeks of spring training. You get to go to a ballpark every day. Somewhere in the valley, there's baseball being played every day, and then all of a sudden it just went away. Had to wait for spring training again.
Called strike 3. A fastball at 90 is in there. 4 strikeouts for Greinke.
LeMahieu with a pretty good eye at the plate. He rarely takes a called strike. That one just a hair off that outside corner, but nice job by Jeff Mathis to make it look a little better than it really was.
Corey Blazer rings him up. Arenado a strikeout victim his first time. Here's the birthday boy, Jeff Mathis, 35 today. Well, 20 years of Diamondbacks baseball. Your staff did some ciphering. And in 20 years here at First Bank One Ballpark, now Chase Field, there have been 1,641 games here. And over 15,000 innings of D-backs baseball. Those are the 1998 replica jerseys handed out to the fans in the ballpark today. And they are all over the yard here. Big crowd with us.
You know what that looked like? That looked like a dugout in a spring training game.
I think you're right. Number 98.
All the extra minor leaguers sitting down at the end of the bench wearing number 98.
There's often 2 or 3 of them wearing the same number on the field at the same time. Arenado sends one pretty deep left center, but Peralta's there. 20 years ago tonight, he threw out the first pitch. Andy Benes joins us next. is on the Bank One ballpark mound. It's our Geico legacy moment. The first pitch after they delivered the baseball via parasail to George Fabregas. Mike Lansing of the Rockies was the hitter, and there is Andy Benes with some D-backs history.
That looked like a strike, didn't it?
Yeah, Jim Quick, I think he squeezed you on that pitch. It looked pretty good to me.
And Andy is with us in the booth here. Nice going on that. It's great to see you here. What are your memories of that moment and that night?
It is really good to be here. My memories are my teammates, the night, the city, and what a privilege and an honor. I never thought I would have been here. I kind of agreed to an extension with the Cardinals, and it was kind of fell through at the last minute. I was actually on a mission trip in Costa Rica, and this was before cell phones. I called home, and my wife said, we have a new team. I'm like, where are we going? She said, we're going to Phoenix. And I'm like, they have a team in Phoenix?
They do now.
But I found out, and it was just such an honor. And the people here in Phoenix treated me and our family so well. Just very blessed.
It was a great moment before the game, and we'll show you that in a minute as David Peralta leads off the bottom of the third as they got you and they got George and they got Mike Lansing and recreated that first pitch. What was that like for you tonight?
Well, it was a ball again tonight.
It's 2-0.
That's right. It was a ball, but you know, it may have been a high strike.
Here's a look earlier tonight.
I had better stuff back then. Yeah, I think it was a strike, about letter high. Look at that,
I'm
right?
amazed George could get down in a crouch.
Yeah, he got down there. Just really good to see these guys, and you know, to be a part of history. Mike Lansing said he was the first batter in Colorado.
Oh, you know, you're right. That's a great trivia question.
There's no chance anybody was the first batter in two expansion teams' first game.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think.
The Rockies are celebrating 25 seasons of existence. They have a patch on the sleeve of their uniform, in fact. 2 balls and 1 strike on David Peralta as we chat with former Diamondback Andy Benes here.
Yeah, what a great city. Jerry Colangelo and the people did such a good job, and Buck Showalter, I think, was just the right guy to be here, and he did a good job of really meshing a handful of us veteran guys with guys that were just getting started in their careers. And there were some ups and downs, obviously, lost a bunch of games, but there was some really good camaraderie, and guys really enjoyed the season. I think it was great for the city that year.
And I remember Buck got the job, Bob, I think it was 2 or 3 years before opening night, so he had lots of time. And you know, you give Buck Showalter 3 years to plan something, and there's going to be a lot of details.
That's right. He did not miss a detail for sure. But it was just a lot of fun. Buck was really good for that first team. All the rules needed to be followed, and so for the veteran guys it was a little bit different, but he was just the right guy, and he kept things in order, and it was just a lot of fun. He made it really competitive. We fought every day, and as a young player, for these guys, 20 of the guys on our roster, they were fighting for their, you know, to begin their career. So
yeah, most guys would have thought, oh, good Lord, I'm going to an expansion team. This is going to be a long year, but that was not your approach, was it?
No, not at all. It was new, exciting. Every day at the ballpark was something new. It was just a really cool opportunity, and I think with being there with Jay Bell, Matt Williams, Devon White, Greg Olson, we were the veteran group, and everybody had the right perspective. We're going to try to get this thing started on the right foot and have a good productive season, and I think overall to win 64 games was quite an accomplishment. I think if we won that many games. I know we had a party when we won our 63rd game.
What was it like to broadcast that team?
It was interesting. I mean,
it was tough, right?
We were as enthusiastic as everybody else because, you know, this ballpark, for one thing, you know, at the time it was literally state of the art. Nobody had a stadium like this, and it was just fun to come to the ballpark every day and kind of watch the progress of the young Diamondbacks team, but at the same time recognize that, you know, the opponents are pretty good.
Right.
I learned very early on in my broadcasting career, rather than say something negative about your team, say something positive about the other team, and we did a lot of that.
That's exactly right. That other team was really good a lot of the time.
AJ fights that one off. We actually have a nice photo, I think, of you and Tom Brenneman from that night 20 years ago. There you are in tuxedos.
Look at
we
those
wore
guys.
tuxedos every night.
You look like James Bond there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brenneman's still really cool.
I mean, you did have a hard job because there were days where it was just not great, but it was fun. I mean, we were, you know, you travel together, you're a family, and you do the best you can. It's Major League Baseball. No one else cared that it was the Diamondbacks' first year. That's for sure.
Yeah, no sympathy.
They welcomed us in every place we came. They were happy that we were there. But I think the guys did a good job, and to be a part of something like that is something you'll never forget.
Well, and you mentioned the veterans on the team that year, Matty Williams and Jay Bell and Greg Olson and yourself. And I think that was a stroke of genius with a young expansion ball club. A lot of guys that either couldn't find their way in the big leagues, couldn't stay in the big leagues, whatever the case was. And to have some veteran guys there to kind of guide them and teach them how to play the game and how to be a big leaguer, I think that was really important that first year.
You had two great guys with Matt and Jay. Those guys were true pros. They cared about their teammates. They were not selfish at all. And they had to buy in from the beginning. And they did. They came here. They were the leaders. And everybody followed suit, because you've been around Matt Williams a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That he didn't mess around when he got between the white lines, and he didn't mess around really when he was outside the white lines. And everybody, those two guys had everybody's respect, and that was really important.
Trevor Story takes care of A.J. Pollock. Now, how have you, Andy, watched the Diamondbacks evolve over the last 20 years? Do you keep an eye on things?
Absolutely. I was privileged of playing in 4 distinctly different organizations. With the Padres, they were my first team, and then Seattle was the first time they won. I got to play with some great players there, and then being an expansion team, and then playing at 5 years in St. Louis. That's the team I grew up watching. But to be able to watch the Diamondbacks and to be on the field for the very first game, I know my kids were watching with me last year for that play-in game, and we were fired up. I'm like, you know, every once in a while the media will say, hey, who do you think's going to win the play? Well, I picked the Diamondbacks to win it all. I'm like, okay, that's the team. I played with them. They're winning every game. And I really thought they would beat Los Angeles. I knew they were playing really well. I thought they would win the play-in game, and it's just fun to watch. I know my youngest son is 11, and to be able to meet some of these guys and hang out at the ballpark is really fun.
20 years ago tonight, he threw out the first pitch in Diamondbacks history. Andy Bennis, thanks so much for being
thanks
here.
for having me. Real privilege to see you.
TV all season long. Sign up now through April 2nd at T-Mobile.com/MLB. Carlos Gonzalez leads off the 4th against Zach Greinke. No score, each team with 3 hits. Our thanks again to Andy Bettis. Great to see him.
Yeah, that half inning was too quick. I was going to point out the fact that it wasn't all doom and gloom in 1998 for the Diamondbacks expansion team. Andy Bettis had a no-hitter with 1 out in the 9th inning at Cincinnati. Sean Casey got a base hit with 1 out in the 9th to break up his no-hitter.
The mayor. Oh, when you're in a situation like that, you just, you know, and we've had years, you and I, doing this with this team where it was less than thrilling sometimes, and it was tough to find a win, but you look for those moments.
Yeah, hey, look for improvement. You know, we knew in '98 that some of these guys, as I mentioned before, were a little bit short in talent and experience, but it was fun to see them get better as the season went on. And I think it was fun for the fans to try to identify who's going to be here next year and who's going to be gone next year, because some of the guys deserve to be gone the next year. But it was fun to watch the guys who did progress in their careers and went on to have great careers.
1-2 on Cargo. He didn't go. Eric Cooper, 2-2. Greinke so far has 4 strikeouts. He's yet to walk a batter. Nationwide Vision Center's eye on the game. The Cargo shift. They get 5 strikeouts, 1 down in the 4th.
It's amazing he gets guys out in front of that changeup. He throws it so hard it's only a few miles an hour slower than his fastball, but the arm motion, everything just convinces the hitter they're going to get another fastball, and they always get out in front.
Yeah, the general consensus is that you'd like that changeup to be about 10 miles an hour slower than the fastball. Why does Greinke's work?
That's a good question. I mean, for me watching, you would say there's not enough difference there. They're going to put that ball in play, and I think that's what Zach wants. If he takes too much off of his changeup, he'll get swings and misses and extended bats and throw more pitches. If he can throw one pitch up there and get the batter to cue it off the end of the bat for an easy out, that's what he's looking for. So I think that's why he doesn't take as much off his changeup as other pitchers.
Well, Zach Greinke is 34. He'll be 35 in October, and that seemed to be the consensus when the Diamondbacks gave him all that money, was this is a pitcher based on the way he throws who should age very well if he's healthy. You know, kind of like Greg Maddux. That's the comp that we always heard when he was signed by the D-backs.
So many similarities between Maddux and Greinke for me. The same types of pitchers. They rely on command and changing speeds. Both tremendous defenders on the mound.
Yeah.
Both competitors with the bat. I mean, everything that you have to do on a field to be successful, Greinke and Greg Maddux pretty much set the bar for right-handed pitchers.
So far 40 strikes, 19 balls for Greinke. Hara fouls off the 2-1.
You know, in those questions that Zach talked about in spring training, you know, he wasn't quite sure how he felt. It feels different. Well, that's what happens when you get a little bit older. Wait till he's my age. Yeah, you wake up in the morning and you go, geez, what's that from? Oh, yeah, that foul ball in St. Louis back in 1986. Yeah, that's it. Just little reminders.
Well, Greinke now in his 15th major league season. Last year, just the 3rd year of his career in which he won at least 17 games, but all of those have come in the last 4 seasons. And he was very durable last year, pitched over 200 innings for the 7th time in his career. And now with 6 seasons of at least 200 strikeouts. All good for a top 5 finish in the NL Cy Young voting. Got caught looking at a fastball. 6 strikeouts for Greinke. Boy, he is really locating with that pitch.
Yeah, he really is. And I think sometimes Zach Greinke, because he is such a cerebral pitcher, you know, he watches how a hitter swings. He watches how the hitter gets in the batter's box, notices everything about those guys that he's facing, and then adjusts his game plan accordingly. And I think sometimes hitters try to guess along with Zach Greinke, and if you do that, you're in trouble.
He's retired 5 in a row. Here's Ian Desmond, who singled in the 2nd. Another good example. He's just dotting that corner down and away with a fastball. And when you can put it right there, 89 is probably good enough.
Plenty good enough.
There was the usual preseason angst about Zach's velocity this spring when he was consistently 84, 86 with that fastball and got hit fairly hard in a backfield minor league B game. But that doesn't appear to be an issue anymore. A bouncer to shortstop for Ahmed. 6 in a row retired by Greinke. No score. The D-backs and the Rockies. Take part in the 50-50 charity raffle presented by Arizona Lottery from home, along with all of us at Chase Field. Get your tickets online during every D-backs televised home game on Fox Sports Arizona at dbacks.com/50-50 raffle. And the winning numbers are on the D-backs live post-game show, so stay tuned to see if you've won. And this is your chance to win half the pot and help all the kids in our community as Jake Lamb leads off the home half of the fourth against Airman Marquez. Fastball's a strike, and it's quickly 0-2 on Jake. Hit into a fielder's choice his first time up. Carved this one out to the corner and left for Parra. 5 in a row set down by Marquez.
Well, when these two teams hook up, you just get the feeling that once that first run hits the board, it's not going to stop for a while. So far, both starting pitchers have been up to the task, throwing the ball well, hitting their spots, getting some easy outs. But at some point, somebody's going to break through here, and then Katie bar the door.
Each team had a 5-run inning in the ball game last night. D-backs won the opener 8-2, and then last night 9-8. Descalso, the second baseman tonight. There's that Marquez curveball, 1-2. Base hit. First hit for the Diamondbacks since Ahmed's double with 1 out in the second.
Hey, fans, want to alert you to the fact that anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Gerard Dyson now. Fastball caught the strike zone upstairs, but Corey Blazers has ball 1 right on the fringe. And you see with Dyson's speed, Arenado in on the grass at third.
And also the middle infielders playing several steps shallower than they normally would.
There's a bouncer to Story, and it goes through into center. Descalso heads for third. He's in there. A lucky hop there for Mr. Zumbaya. Bud Black not loving it.
That's something I'm sure Gerard Dyson has been told throughout his career. You need to slap the ball on the ground and use your speed. That was perfectly done right there. Fairly easy play. Story just doesn't come up with it cleanly. Gets into center field, and Descalso moves all the way around to third.
That should have ended the inning. The double play ball there for Marquez. Instead, it's Descalso at third. Dyson with that great speed at first. One out. And here's the red-hot Nick Ahmed, who doubled to right center his first time up tonight after he had 5 RBIs in last night's game. That's odd for Story there, who was the best shortstop in the National League last year in terms of defensive runs saved. Gonna get another chance here. He's got to charge that one. Little toss to second. And Ahmed is able to beat it out. The foot came off the bag, said first base umpire Stu Sherwater. Descalso is across with the first run of the game. And Bud Black just, what's he got to do to get a double play ball here, he's thinking.
Stunned. That's a tough play for the shortstop, flipping backwards to the second baseman covering the bag. LeMahieu can't get much on the throw, and it did look like Desmond came off the bag down there. Nick busting it down that line. He knows if he gets there, a run's going to score.
No challenge from the Rockies. Good call at first by Stu Sherwater. And the D-backs have a 1-0 lead. The batter is Jeff Mathis. He walked his first time up. Jeff last year 60 games with the D-backs. Missed nearly 6 weeks very late in the year with that fractured right hand. And then had a lower back problem during spring training. We were talking about that last night, that fractured right hand August 21st against the Mets in New York, when Jeff had that bare throwing hand out in front, got hit with a foul tip, and then had a fracture in that hand.
And unfortunately, as earlier tonight with nobody on base, he's got that hand just kind of dangling down there again. A very dangerous proposition for a catcher, but sometimes you get into some habits over the course of your career that are just really tough to break.
2-1. And you'll recall as that one goes through Walters and Ahmed moves up to second. They knew that Greinke would start the wild card game. They wanted Mathis back there for him, and Jeff barely made it back that final series of the year in Kansas City.
Your memory is probably a lot better than mine as you see that ball getting through Walters behind the plate, allowing Ahmed to move into scoring position. But didn't Jeff stay in that ball game for at least another inning? It seems to me like he stayed in for another inning or two after the broken hand.
I believe you're right. It was ugly. It was an avulsion fracture for Mathis, meaning the ligament came off the bone and bone fragments came off with it. And he walked for the second time, batting ahead of the pitcher Greinke.
Pitcher, Zach Greinke.
2 on, 2 out. A run is home. Here's Greinke, who lined into a double play his first time up. Saw that terrific shot from our crew there. The view from the home run porch out there in the outfield. If you could take tonight and bottle it up, you'd pick these conditions 81 times a year here. What a beautiful night. You and I have been out there doing a game. That is a great seat.
It really is. Completely different perspective on the game. It's fun to watch the outfielders and the jumps they get on those balls hit in the gap. Watch plays develop on the infield from behind. It's a completely different view than we're used to, than most fans are used to, for that matter.
Yeah, check it out. Get your tickets, dbacks.com. The home run porch, you are literally hanging over the field of play when you sit out there. And there's all kinds of room. You got tables and chairs, TV monitors out there, a nice counter to put your food on. That is a great seat. Fly ball right center. Blackmon drifting over near the pool of call off cargo. And Marquez is able to strand two, but the Diamondbacks strike first. The audio bobblehead is coming up Saturday, April 21st. That's followed by the kids bat and ball set on the 22nd. And then Cinco de Mayo, the Sugar Skull t-shirt, the D-backs tote bag on Mother's Day. Visit dbacks.com to see the full promotional schedule. We have the Archie Bradley audio bobblehead here in our booth. And this is a fantastic item, which of course commemorates Archie's wild card game triple. And that was him standing on third base. There's a little button down here at the bottom. You hit it and you get the Governor Greg Schulte with his radio call from that triple. So there it is, the Archie Bradley audio bobblehead, courtesy of Gila River Hotels and Casinos. That's coming up on Saturday, April 21st, here against the Padres. There is the beard. We've already seen him twice this year. Trevor Story leads off the fifth against Zack Greinke. It was hard not to live in the Valley and not see Archie Bradley over the course of the winter.
Yeah, no kidding.
He was everywhere.
Everywhere.
He was at the ASU curtain of distraction. He was banging a drum at a Phoenix Rising soccer game. Story sends one high and deep to center. AJ at the wall. 7 straight set down by Zack Greinke. Archie was at the golf tournament. He was at the Suns games.
Grand Canyon.
Good call. GCU. He was enjoying the offseason. Trying to drag Jake Lamb everywhere. Hey, let's go to a GCU baseball game. He was there. The catcher Tony Walters struck out his first time up. And of course, you've got everybody walking around wearing those bringing the beard t-shirts that you can get at the team shop here. Archie's everywhere.
I think it was great for the organization. You know, we talk sometimes about visiting teams coming in here and bringing a huge crowd with them. The Cubs and the Giants and the Dodgers. And I think Archie, not in a bad way, but he was just tired of it. Hey, this is our house. This is where we play. We're your team. And then he proceeded to go out, as you mentioned, all off season and make himself available to the public. I think it's great for the organization.
Couldn't agree more. And when he came off the mound in that game, yelling at everyone who could see, let's go, this is our house. That for me was a signature moment of last season. One of them anyway. And I think it really captured the way a lot of the fans feel here. It's nice to have, Cub fans here with us, and the Dodger fans buy tickets. That's fine and everything, but this is our house. 7 strikeouts for Greinke as Walters goes down.
Breaking ball, diving down and in underneath the bat of Walters. Like a lot of left-handed hitters, he likes that ball down and in, but that one had so much movement he couldn't come up with it. Boy, Zach Greinke now has been 0-2 or 1-2 on 10 of the 17 batters he's faced in this game.
About to throw pitch number 70 with 2 outs in the 5th. The pitcher, Germán Marquez. Marquez had a very good at bat his first time up, fouled off a few pitches. Tried to take first base on ball 3, wound up with a swing and bunt single. 70 pitches, 49 for strikes for Greinke. Now make it 50.
He struggled a little bit with his fastball command in those first 2 innings, but he's starting to zone it in now on that corner whenever he wants to. His off-speed stuff has been outstanding in the early going, both the changeup and the slider.
Another fastball, and it's 1-2. D-backs looking for their first 3-0 start in 6 years. Swing and a miss. That's 8 strikeouts for Greinke, who set down 9 in a row.
D-backs win. Get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
Leading off for the D-backs, left fielder.
We flash back the first Diamondback home run.
Travis Lee. Boy, he was a good-looking young hitter. I mean, there weren't a lot of positives in that first year, but watching Travis Lee grow as a major league hitter was one of the highlights.
Landed right in there at then Bank One Ballpark. Beautiful night here with the roof open at Chase Field. David Peralta leads off the 5th. He is singled and struck out. D-backs have out hit the Rockies 4-3. They lead it 1-0. He didn't go. Eric Cooper. It's 2-0.
Yeah, looking at David Peralta wearing the number 6 on the throwback uniforms tonight. Diamondbacks fans probably remember who number 6 was in '98. Andy Fox.
That was one of Buck's guys,
Oh,
Andy
yeah.
Fox. He took Andy Fox everywhere he went, I think.
Andy Fox was a master. I mean, a master of giving the illusion that he was getting out of the way of a pitch and letting it hit him somewhere. He would lean his upper body back and stick his knee into the middle of the strike zone, get hit by a pitch.
All deception. Pollock on deck, Goldie after that. Well, Marquez hasn't been dominant, certainly, but he's been effective. He's walked 2, he struck out 3. And Bud Black was saying the other day he sees Airman Marquez as a guy who can be a long-time starter in the big leagues. They like the way he delivers the baseball. He's got a nice sort of smooth, fluid delivery. He works hard. And he's got that upper 90s fastball. But he just needs something else. That's his 3rd walk.
Well, Bud Black being a former pitcher, a former pitching coach, and now a manager that leans toward the pitching side of the game. He should know better than anybody the upper end for Marquez. But you look at that upper 90s fastball and that snapdragon curve, I can envision him as a 2-pitch reliever late in a ball game. Of course, the Rockies spent a ton of money to build up that back end of the bullpen, so he won't be this year. But if he can't find a 3rd pitch to go along with those first 2, you may see him in the bullpen in the future.
Yeah, we talked about that last night with another young Rockies pitcher, Antonio Senzatella, who has struggled to find a 3rd pitch. He's in the bullpen now. Pollock has singled, grounded out 1 for 2. There was no number 11 in 1998. Well, there was. You just didn't see it because Buck Showalter always had his jacket on.
Had his jacket on.
Buck used to tell me stories about trying to coordinate all the uniforms here when they first started. And of course, he had Mel Didier helping out. Lupe Uribe was in the clubhouse, and Buck said at one point he had to bring a mannequin in there.
Dress it.
Yeah, and so everyone would know what to wear. You just look at the dummy in the clubhouse. And Buck used to tell the story. There was one day where Mel came up to him and said, "Partner, I hate to bother you, but Lupe has put the wrong hosiery on the mannequin." And the marketing people is on the phone. So they had to change the socks on the mannequin in there, so everybody had the right thing on.
Too good.
Lupe, of course, still here, getting it done. Goldie so far struck out twice. Popped it up, and that's going to get behind the screen. I love these uniforms, but check out the kicks on Goldie. Those are sweet.
Nice.
Gold stripe, purple Nikes. I'm really feeling the pinstripes. It looks good.
The vertical stripes are very slimming.
So they tell me. Marquez at 80 pitches, 48 strikes. Fastball up and in. Full count, 3-2. Bullpen will start to get busy. Well, Chris Russin apparently is going to make 162 appearances this year.
If the Rockies are playing, Chris Russin is warming up.
He did not get into the game last night, but he warmed up for a while there. Got Bud Black out of a big mess on opening night here. Bases loaded, no outs. Diamondbacks couldn't score against Russin. 3-2 to AJ. Peralta takes off from first, and that one's in the seats as well. What a night to be at the ballpark. Glad you're with us on Fox Sports Arizona. A rare day off tomorrow. And then the Dodgers are in for 3 starting on Monday. They are leading the Giants. Breaking news, the Dodgers have scored in 2018. They were shut out 1-0 Thursday and Friday. Right now they lead 2-0 in the second. Padres are home against the Brewers. They trail Milwaukee 3-2 in the third. Long set by Marquez, caught. Peralta leaning the wrong way.
That's one of those that can't happen. He's going to be running on the 3-2 pitch. He was running on the pitch before. You have to make sure that pitcher delivers the ball to home plate. You're not trying to steal the base. You're trusting that the hitter at the plate will take a ball for ball 4 or put the ball in play if it's a strike. David got caught leaning that time.
You're going to let Alan Campbell have a look in the video room, but that was pretty definitive. Now, according to the new pace of play guidelines, you're only supposed to get 10 seconds to decide whether you want to challenge.
I think we had a little more than 10 seconds.
Yeah, they may have started the clock a little slow there.
Counting down. Nope.
On we go. It's like a basketball game when the team inbounds the ball, clock don't start for a while.
Just let it roll up the court.
That's right.
Yeah.
Try and squeeze a few extra ticks. So Peralta is erased, 1 out, base is empty, 3 and 2 on AJ. That's probably how Michigan won tonight. Wait, what? Ball 4. That's 4 walks, 2 in a row issued by Marquez. And here comes Goldie.
First baseman, ball.
Goldie's punched out twice and is still in search of his first base hit this year. He has walked 4 times. Goldie last year, the first player, speaking of D-backs history, in the franchise's history with 3 career seasons of at least 30 homers and 100 RBIs. He had a few milestones last year. In fact, he went over 1,000 hits, 500 runs scored, 100 steals.
Obviously, in this game, you don't like to look up at the scoreboard and see zeros after your batting average, but I wouldn't worry too much about Goldie. Over the last 5 years, he's 4th in the National League in batting average, 3rd in extra base hits. The list goes on and on. 2nd in slugging, 2nd in OPS, 1st in RBI. So a couple of slow games, I'm not going to worry too much about it.
Just let that 0-1 curveball go by, and now it's 0-2. Yeah, not quite time to panic just yet for Goldie. There's a slow bouncer to LeMahieu at second. AJ advances, 2 down. Jake Lamb now.
Third baseman.
You know, talking about Goldie, though, every year he goes through a couple of spells during the season where he just doesn't look like himself, and we start speculating, is he injured? Is there something wrong? And then he always comes out of it. And you look up at the end of the season and you can't remember a slump that he was in.
And you'll never hear an excuse either.
Nope.
We were at Fan Fest this year at Salt River Fields, and a fan raised his hand and asked Goldie a question. He said, you know, you kind of had a tough September last year where you struggled for a bit. What happened? And he said, I just wasn't very good.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. I swung and missed pitches that I should have hit, he said. It was pretty frank and straight to the point.
See, but they only ask questions like that to good hitters.
Exactly. You got that question all the time.
Oh, yeah, all the time. You had a rough April, May, June, July, and August. What happened?
What happened? Sun was in my eyes. 0-2. Marquez still throwing hard at 96. You've got a lefty ready in the bullpen, a lefty at bat. And we know about Jake Lamb's struggles against left-hand pitchers. Russin is ready, but he's not in the game.
And they've cleared the pitcher spot. Marquez made the last out in the 5th inning, so that's not really a factor at all. You wonder why you get a lefty up and don't bring him in to face the 3 lefties in a row.
Well, he knew what he was doing, went to that curveball. Walters completes the strikeout. And we are through 5. It's 1-0 D-backs. Joe Panik homered the first day against Clayton Kershaw, the second against Kenley Jansen. Only the second player ever to homer off Kershaw and Jansen in the same year. The other, Paul Goldschmidt in 2013.
Yeah, Dodgers leading the Giants 2-0 in the second. I would assume they've walked Panik intentionally in this first at bat of the game.
Duh.
Just pitch around him. Yeah.
That was in the same game Goldie actually homered off those two guys. Charlie Blackmon leads off the 6th against Zack Greinke, who has 8 strikeouts. And Blackmon gets into one. We're all tied. Charlie Blackmon is second of the series. He homered to center last night against Robbie Ray. And he takes Greinke out to the bleachers in right tonight. That ends a stretch of 9 straight set down by Greinke.
They really timed that breaking ball well. Sits back on that back leg, lets the ball get deep into the hitting zone, and then hits it a ton to right field.
Charlie Blackmon last year 103 RBIs from the leadoff spot, a new major league record.
Teammate Gerardo Parra giving him a big hug. Can you imagine if Charlie Blackmon and Archie Bradley hugged each other?
They'd get stuck together.
All the squirrels would come running out of their beards.
LeMahieu flies out to Peralta. So we're all even in 1. Here's Nolan Arenado, who's 0 for 2.
Third baseman.
Well, this is not really surprising because they are the Colorado Rockies after all. They've scored 11 runs in this series. 10 of them have come via the home run.
They can slug. Arenado had 37 last year. He homered here opening night. Boy, that Rockies loss to the D-backs in the wild card game here was really difficult for Nolan Arenado. Jorge De La Rosa warming up in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. They've got the left-hander Cargo on deck. Parra behind him, another left-hand bat. After the Rockies lost, Arenado would not even get on the team plane back to Denver. He just said he just kind of hid and just hung around the valley laying low. Didn't want people in Denver to see him. So he just stayed here and played golf all by himself.
Well, it's been said many times, but it is true. When you're in a postseason, one of those win or go home games, it is absolutely devastating when you lose. I mean, you're not even thinking about losing the ball game. I think back to 1987 with the San Francisco Giants, and we were playing the St. Louis Cardinals in the National League Championship Series, and we had the better team. I think the Cardinals would even admit that. But they won the series, and boy, when we lost that last game in St. Louis, it was devastating. It's just such a suddenness to the end of the season, just like the March Madness. Win or go home. We didn't want to go home, but we had to.
Well, you play 162, you get it cranked up the middle of February, get all the way to the first week of October, and then suddenly it just ends.
Comes down to one ball game.
And what a game it was here last October 4. It was a lot of fun to be here that night. Oh, this place was jumping.
Well, this organization is very fortunate to have the exciting moments that they've had in their 20-year history. I mean, I think back to Game 7 of the World Series. I've told the story many times. I was in the office doing some final preparation. It was probably a half hour, 45 minutes before the game, and my son Michael, who was the bat boy, came running into my office and said, "Dad, you got to come out here and see this." The stands were already filled. There wasn't an empty seat in the joint, and everybody was waving white pom-poms. It looked like a snowstorm in here, and I got chills. I get chills now even thinking about it. Just watching the fans that jacked up for a ball game that early.
And we had a lot of that over the course of the winter here in the Valley, all over the state of Arizona. People excited about these 2018 D-backs after last year's 93-win season and trip to the playoffs. 3-2 to Arenado. Well, he went back to that curveball. That's the pitch that Blackmon took him deep on, and he got Arenado for the second time tonight. That's 9 strikeouts for Greinke.
Really took a lot off that curveball. Got Arenado out in front.
Right fielder Carlos Gonzalez.
He's walking back there talking to himself. Cargo 0 for 2. D-backs put the shift on. Just over the reach of Nick Ahmed. Greinke might have got a piece of that one. 2-out single for Gonzalez. Well, you mentioned the atmosphere in here. People excited about this team of the offseason. Great night to be here. More than 33,000 with us. And a lot of people walked up and bought tickets. Over 4,000 for the ball game today. So everybody's here with us in downtown Phoenix. And that's going to be it for Zack Greinke, who leads with 2 outs in the 6th inning of a 1-1 ball game. One run tonight, 5 hits and 9 strikeouts, but he'll settle for a no decision. Our Chaz Roberts cool plays of the game.
Well, obviously we don't know how Zack Greinke feels right now, but boy, his stuff sure looked good. The velocity right around 90. with the fastball, but velocity, as we've said many times, not the most important thing for him. Really battled tonight.
Numbers are good. No walks, 9 punch-outs. He retired 9 straight at one point before the Blackmon homer that tied it. And on for the 3rd time in this series, the left-hander and former Rocky Jorge De La Rosa. Gonzalez is the runner at first, 2 outs, and the batter is Gerardo Parra. De La Rosa, big part of last year's bullpen, 65 appearances, by far a career high for him. And already making his 3rd of the season tonight. Curveball missed. It's 1-0. Parra has lined out to second, struck out looking 0 for 2. Torey Lovullo has a tremendous amount of faith in Jorge De La Rosa. Last season he began the year by stranding the first 24 base runners he inherited. Remarkable that, considering, Bob, he'd been a starting pitcher the previous 10 years.
Yeah, really made a nice adjustment to that bullpen and an increased workload as far as how many days in a row or how many days in a week you would pitch. But also, we talked about it with Brad Boxberger last night. There's a calmness about Jorge De La Rosa. You just know he's not going to rattle. He might not always get everybody out, but he's not worried about anything out there. He just wants to execute the next pitch.
1-1 on Parra. Cargo takes off. No throw from Mathis. Pitch is a strike, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, that one's on De La Rosa right there. He just fell into the same rhythm with every delivery. Came up into the set position when his hands set at the belt. Cargo just took off for second base. Had a big old jump. No chance for Jeff Mathis. Might as well hang on to that one. Only bad things can happen when the guy gets a jump that big and you try to throw him out.
Greinke responsible for the runner at second. A ball and 2 strikes on Parra. The splitter in the dirt. It's 2-2.
Nice job sliding out there to his left over in that right-handed batter's box. Don't try to catch it. Just try to stop it. Keep it in front.
Fernando Salas, the right-hander, ready in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. Desmond on deck for the Rockies.
Emergency swing that time by Parra.
Yeah, almost kept it fair. Good crowd here tonight. 33,000 plus. Jorge De La Rosa trying to keep it a 1-1 ball game. Fly ball to center. AJ's there. Mark it 8, dude. Another stranded runner for De La Rosa, but the Rockies get the equalizer. Chase Field, chanting "Beat LA." The boys in blue come to town. The Dodgers, a 3-game set, starts Monday. Wednesday's game, a matinee 12:40 start. Get your tickets at dbacks.com. The Dodgers have scored a run this year after getting shut out 1-0 by the Giants in their first 2 games. They lead at 2-0. They're in the 3rd in LA. Here's the left-hander Chris Russin, who came into the opener Thursday, bases loaded, no outs, and got out of it. But then in the next inning gave up 3 earned runs. So much for that. Daniel Descalso, Gerard Dyson, and Nick Ahmed do up 5, 6, and 7 in the Arizona 6th. Padres at home. They still trail the Brewers, now 5-3 in the 4th inning at Petco Park. Saw former D-back Adam Eaton had a 5-hit game today for the Nationals in Cincinnati. Chris Russin had a good spring, 9 Cactus League appearances, all in relief. Only 1 run allowed in 8 2/3 innings. Had 9 strikeouts over the course of his work this spring.
It's a funny game, partner.
Yeah.
Marquez goes 5 innings. He only gives up 4 hits, but he walked 4. Had an error behind him. Doesn't give up an earned run. Zach Greinke goes 5 2/3, punches out 9, doesn't walk a batter, and he gives up a run. Go figure.
Fastball, strike 3. Descalso caught looking there. Oh, it's just like Robbie Ray getting the win last night. He gave up 7 runs in 5 innings, still won. That's why so many people are down on the win stat.
Looks nice on the bubblegum card, but reality is, like we said, Robbie Ray didn't pitch well at all last night. He ends up with a win. Zach Greinke pitched outstanding baseball tonight and walks away with a no decision at best.
And it's not the win stat itself that bothers some of the sabermetrically inclined people. It's using it to evaluate performance.
Right.
And that's a good example. Dyson 0 for 2. Gerard Dyson, tremendous speed, got a 2-year, $7.5 million free agent deal right after spring training opened up. And had a big night here opening day, singled, tripled, scored twice. This guy can play all 3 outfield spots. He is a superb defensive outfielder. And he has got elite speed.
Yeah.
And he's aboard. Get our first unencumbered look at Dyson on the bases now. See if Torey Lovullo wants to step on the gas here.
It'd be a little tougher with the left-handed pitcher on the mound in Chris Russin, but Gerard Dyson has stolen bases against everybody. I mean, we root for the Diamondbacks to get on base, score runs, and make things happen, but I am really rooting for Gerard Dyson to get on base a lot this year with nobody in front of him.
Now you're talking about, in the words of Torey Lovullo, top-end speed here. Gerard, he believes, is at the head of the class. Ahmed hits one in the hole. Arenado in front of Story, and they're able to turn the double play. 7th inning coming up. D-backs and Rockies tied at 1. Fans, you can stream live D-backs game on any of your mobile devices with Fox Sports Go. It's presented by T-Mobile. Download the free app and take Fox Sports Arizona and the D-backs with you wherever you go. Some machinations from Torey Lovullo. Fernando Salas, the right-hander, takes over on the mound, and Chris Owings replaces Gerard Dyson in right field.
The pitcher spot due up second in the bottom of the 7th inning, so to avoid that, and probably want Salas to go at least 1 inning here, you make the double switch. You put Chris Owings in the 9 spot. You put the pitcher in Gerard Dyson's spot, and play on.
There's CO. And now with the right-hander out there, Bud Black will counter with young Ryan McMahon, the left-hand batter, who will hit for Desmond. This is a guy they like an awful lot, Ryan McMahon. 2nd-round pick in the 2013 draft out of high school in Santa Ana, California. They thought for a long time this spring he would be their everyday first baseman and Desmond would be the left fielder, but then they brought Carlos Gonzalez back. Desmond moved over to first base and McMahon is on the bench. But they gave him an opening day roster spot ahead of Raimel Tapia, and they're going to have to find a way to get McMahon some ABs here, not just have him sitting the whole time.
Well, that can be a big determining factor a lot of times for a young player. You don't want him to be in the major leagues and just sit on the bench, you know, be a placeholder over there and get maybe a pinch hit at bat here or there, maybe a start every now and again. Many times a guy's better served to go down to AAA, get his regular at bats, get regular playing time, stay sharp, and then when he's ready to come up and play on an everyday basis, then you bring him up to the major leagues.
Yeah, they did exactly that thing with the young David Dahl, another well-regarded Rockies prospect who's in the minors right now. Story on deck. Two balls and 2 strikes. Got him. Fastball from Salas. 1 down.
Just blew that heater right by McMahon on that outer third of the plate. Not a lot of movement, just blew it by him.
Trevor Story has flied out to center twice. One hit in the series, a single in the opening game on Thursday. He's also struck out 7 times in the series. Fernando Salas came into camp on a minor league contract and won himself a big league job. Diamondbacks bullpen this season has worked 8 innings and given up only 1 earned run. Brad Boxberger got the save last night. That was impressive for Boxberger. What a way to make your D-back debut as the new closer come in against the Rockies with a 1-run lead. But boy, he was terrific. He walked LeMahieu, but then got Arenado, Story, and Cargo the heart of the order.
And I think last night was a perfect illustration of what we're going to see from that bullpen in Torey Lovullo and Mike Butcher this year. You know, Archie Bradley's the guy they're going to bring in to face the middle of that lineup. Ideally, Brad Boxberger's the guy that closes, and Yoshi Hirano is a guy that you can float in there in any one of those spots, but it all pivots around Archie Bradley in the opposing lineup. He's not going to bring Archie into a ball game to face the 7, 8, 9 hitters. He's going to come in the ball game and face the best hitters on the other team in a key situation.
And sometimes that might be in the 7th inning like it was last night. Sometimes it might be in the 8th inning. The key is to look at the matchup and not necessarily from a fan point of view wonder, okay, who's going to pitch the 7th and this guy pitches the 8th. It's going to change depending on who's coming up.
Right.
Just foul. How much of a manager's thinking and preparation and planning is simply about getting the best matchup?
that's all you look at late in a ball game. I don't know about Torrey and his card over there that he keeps, but I used to have the matchups I wanted and the matchups I definitely wanted to avoid, because there are a lot of those as well. And you just try to look ahead 2 or 3 innings. Where are we at in the lineup? Okay, if he goes 1, 2, 3 next inning, we're going to face the 3, 4, 5 hitters in the 8th, and it just goes on and on and on every day. But the good thing for Torrey is he's got 3 guys down there that I think he has ultimate confidence that any of them could close the ball game. Hirano, Bradley, or Boxberger.
Now we know what Archie can do. Boxberger has led the American League in saves before, and Hirano has been one of Japan's best closers for the last 5 years. Salas just missed with a curveball there, and Story fouls off the 2-2. Went back to the curve that time. Yeah, all the analytics. We hear about that all the time. Mike Fitzgerald and his department here with the Diamondbacks. All kinds of numbers are crunched. Everything gets funneled into one little thing, and that's the matchup. It all is figured out to, okay, who do we want to pitch to what guy? That's really the end point for all the numbers.
And on the other side of the coin, I know I've told this story many times in the past, but Steve Finley used to absolutely wear out a right-handed pitcher for the Dodgers named Paul Quantrill. Long-time relief pitcher, had a really nice major league career, but for whatever reason, Steve Finley killed him. I think he was like 8 for 10 against him or some ridiculous thing. So when we would play the Dodgers, Finns would always have 1 game on the bench.
The secret weapon.
The secret weapon. If they go to Paul Quantrill, Steve Finley's going to pinch hit for somebody and get a knock. And more often than not, he did.
Missed upstairs with a fastball. Well, Mike Fitzgerald was hired. There he is. Mike's an MIT guy. He played football at MIT. And he is the guy that runs the analytics department here for the Diamondbacks. He's crunching all the numbers, and they do a tremendous job. They've got a whole staff up there. Everybody's back there behind a laptop. Mathis can't quite hang on. A changeup, and Story just did get a piece.
Yeah, that's a really good changeup. Just did get the top half of the baseball right there.
Mathis a little frustrated there.
Yeah, nothing you can do as a catcher. Once that ball's misdirected, you just have to get lucky and hope it hits your glove somewhere you can squeeze it. Otherwise, it's going to be a foul ball.
Story making Salas work. Another pitch on 3-2. We'll keep going. Good range here from Bam Bam Balderrama. Got way out there. I think a couple of years ago he may have been Rapid Robert Balderrama. Bam Bam's a little tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little grittier.
He looks like a Bam Bam.
Doesn't he? Uncle.
Twelve pitches already to Trevor Story in this at bat. Try to paint that outside corner with a fastball.
Fly ball, right field. Owings out there. 2 down. Salas wins the battle. Here's the number 8 hitter, the catcher Tony Walters. He has struck out twice. Pitcher's spot behind him, and here comes Mike Tauchman in the on-deck circle. D-backs overload the right-hand side defensively. Fernando Salas has been around. Last year, the Mets and the Angels, 61 appearances. Had a big year in 2011. That was his second year in the majors, pitching for Tony La Russa's Cardinals. Had 24 saves that year and was a key arm in their bullpen during the World Series run. So he's got lots of experience. Remember that year they went out and got Octavio Dotel. They had Salas back there. A lot of weapons for Tony La Russa in that 2011 postseason run.
And Tony La Russa liked having a lot of weapons in the bullpen.
Used them all. Well, he's often credited with being the guy that invented or sort of came up with the idea of the ninth inning guy, Dennis Eckersley, and matching up different bullpen pieces. That's when things started to evolve into a bullpen game. A little tapper to second. Fernando Salas, a 1-2-3-7. 1-1 ball game at Chase.
All right, man.
What's next brought to you by CenturyLink. Day off tomorrow. That is weird, wild stuff. We're back at it. Yeah. Easter off. We're back at it Monday for 3 against the Dodgers. In a battle of 99s. Hyunjin Ryu for LA. Taijuan Walker makes his season debut for the Diamondbacks. Dodgers in that series will start 3 lefties. Ryu, Kershaw, and Wood. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That Wednesday game, by the way, a 12:40 start. Get your tickets, dbacks.com. Matinee pricing on that one. Brian Shaw, the former Diamondback, made his Rockies debut in the ball game last night, and he's on to pitch the home half of the 7th inning. Ryan McMahon takes over at first base for Ian Desmond. Jeff Mathis leads it off for the D-backs. Brian Shaw, a big loss for Terry Francona in Cleveland. This guy is a workhorse. At least 70 appearances each of the last 5 years. Got a big contract in the offseason from the Rockies, who's invested heavily in their bullpen. Shaw and Jake McGee both got 3 years, $27 million. Wade Davis got $52 million to be the new closer, so they spent some bucks.
Yeah, we talked about Shaw last night, that cut fastball. That's his bread and butter pitch, and he also throws it out of a crossfire action. He kind of strides to the third base side of the mound and throws back across his body with that cutting action.
He's made a living with that pitch over the years. Chris Owings double switched into the ball game. The new right fielder is on deck. David Peralta after him. Mathis gets a piece of that cut fastball, and it's full 3-2.
You know, for the average fan out there, even for some serious fans out there, it's hard to figure out why hitters can't hit the cut fastball. Now, obviously, if you make a mistake and leave it right over the middle of the plate with very little movement, it's going to get hit. But you think of Kenley Jansen and Mariano Rivera, Brian Shaw, these guys that throw that cut fastball, hitters will tell you it's like an optical illusion.
Center field, Blackmon able to pick it off the ground, makes the catch, one away.
I mean, you see the delivery, you see the rotation on the baseball, everything tells you straight fastball. Then you start your swing, and that little bit of movement away from a right-handed hitter and into a lefty gets the ball off the barrel of the bat, out near the end or down near the handle. It's the weak contact he's looking for. But as a hitter, it really is an optical illusion. The ball doesn't do what your eyes tell you it should do.
Here's CO. Great night at the plate in his start in right field last night. He walked, singled twice, drove in a run. Now, I've often heard that it's actually, despite the fact that you get the right-hand pitcher, left-hand batter matchup, harder for the left-hand hitter to face that cut fastball because it's coming in on their hands. Whereas opposed, as you said, it's going away from the right-hand hitter.
Yep. And right-handed hitters that have an opposite field approach are the guys that usually have a measure of success against that cut fastball. Working away from you, if you're willing to shoot it into right field, you got a chance to get him. Because as a right-handed hitter, that cutter is always going to be moving away from you. Even if he throws it inside, it's going to cut back over the heart of the plate. If he throws it down the middle, it's going to cut to the outside like that.
Well, we know that Gonzo could handle the cutter at least once.
Used the whole bat. That's good hitting.
Saw Steven Souza Jr. there with Goldie going over that approach. There they are. Boy, those two should be a tag team wrestling duo. Steven Souza Jr. is a huge guy. Base hit for Owens. Go ahead, runs aboard. That's just the Diamondbacks' second base hit since Ahmed's one-out double in the second inning.
That's a cutter that stays up over the heart of the plate that time, and CO just stays right on it, hits it right back where it came from.
We'll see if you want to get something going here with Owings and his speed. Peralta has singled and walked. He's 1 for 2. Sometimes against the left-hand batter, you can kind of backdoor that cut fastball. Breaking in toward the hitter, but away from him, and just does catch the edge of the strike zone like that one did right there.
Yeah, left-handed hitters would have a tendency to quit on that pitch. They see it off the plate away, and then that late cutting action brings it back to the outside corner.
Double play ball here. Story, LeMahieu, and they're able to turn it. That ends the threat. We head to the 8th, still tied at 1. 15% off here at the Chase Field Team Shop when you use the card by Gila River Casinos. 15% off on all the new items down there at the Chase Field Team Shop. That's a great deal. And that team store, by the way, restocked and loaded. They have got some cool stuff down there.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Pat Valaika, one of the best pinch hitters in baseball last year, will hit for the pitcher Shaw to lead off the Colorado eighth. Salas is still out there. You've got the left-hander Blackmon on deck, a left-hander warming up at the D-back bullpen. They call him Patty Barrels. He flied out as a pinch hitter last night. Andrew Chafin starting to get loose in the Sanderson Ford bullpen. This guy was an exceptional pinch hitter for Bud Black last year. 19 pinch hits, 12 for extra bases, 8 doubles, 4 homers, all as a pinch hitter.
Kind of a double-edged sword being a good pinch hitter, because you're so valuable to the team off the bench, you rarely get to start.
That weapon's not so secret anymore. He's a very valuable guy, though, on the bench. He can play a whole bunch of positions defensively. Shortstop, third base, second base, left field. He's played first base. Fastball just off that corner, down and away, and it's 2-2. In fact, Valaika thought he'd be playing a fair amount of first base before Cargo came back and Desmond moved in for the outfield, so he worked a lot at first base in the offseason. Curveball gets a piece to stay alive. 16 pinch hit RBIs last year for Pat Valaika. The most by a major league rookie since 1958, which was the first season of the rookie rule. So he had himself a pretty good year. Like Torey Lovullo, a UCLA Bruin. There's Torey on the left, Jerry Nara, the bench coach, on the right.
Ron Gardenhire managing the Tigers this year, so Jerry Nara, who had filled in for Ron Gardenhire last year when he was having his surgery and what have you, and Jerry Nara back this year as the bench coach.
And Jerry was so valuable that when Gardy did come back, Torey wanted him to stay right where he was. So Jerry stayed the whole year, and he's just one of those guys that's good on all the little things, you know, picks up signs and does the lineups, and he knows how to position guys. He's got a wealth of knowledge, a former big league manager himself. This has got a chance to stay playable. Long run for CO. Goldie's out there as well, and he's got it. So Salas retires all 4 he faces. You've got Chafin ready in the bullpen and Blackmon coming up.
Well, we see Goldie do this numerous times over the course of the season. He's really the only guy that can make a play on that. Everybody else is on a dead run to get to the spot. Goldie makes the over-the-shoulder catch look easy.
Torey maybe going to stick with Salas here. You've got right-handers behind him in LeMahieu and Arenado. Blackmon homered his last time up. That's the Rocky run. Each team 1 run on 5 hits. Shift is on. Now this is the same thing we saw from Bud Black, the left-hander up, but not in the game. This was Blackmon in the 6th, got a curveball from Greinke.
Yeah, Zach just trying to jump ahead with that breaking ball. It was in the zone, but Charlie Blackmon either guessed right or just had a great approach. He clubbed that ball.
His 2nd home run in 2 games, Charlie Blackmon. And this is the 3rd. Well, Torey had the lefty ready. He stuck with Salas, and Blackmon burned him. It's kind of pick your poison. Blackmon crushes lefties. He homered 9 times off left-handers last year, so kind of half of one, 6 dozen of the other. One of those deals.
Hit almost 300 against lefties last year. This guy's just a good hitter. You can't make mistakes, and unfortunately, Zach Greinke hung him a curveball, and Salas throws one down the pipe, takes them both deep.
So it's 2-1 Colorado. Here's DJ LeMahieu. Yeah, Blackmon hit over 330 versus lefties this last year. There's no good answer to who should pitch to Charlie Blackmon. Last year's National League batting champion.
Well, that's why managers like to stagger their lineup with righties and lefties, so a manager has to make those tough decisions. Do I leave my right-hander in here to face Blackmon because there's 2 righties up after him, or do I bring in my left-handed pitcher, in which case I'll probably have to get a righty up behind him to face those right-handed hitters?
Torrey's got 3 lefties back there with lots to choose from. That's a real asset for a skipper. Chafin, De La Rosa, McFarland, all left-hand relievers.
He's not missing by much. Just a little bit off that outside corner.
D-backs will have the big boys coming up in the 8th inning. Pollock, Goldie, Lamb, 2, 3, and 4. Ahmed at shortstop. Still have to deal with Arenado.
Third baseman, Nolan Arenado.
Arenado singled and homered Thursday. Singled and double last night. 0 for 3 so far tonight. Boy, you really like the way Salas works the edges of the strike zone. You're right, Bob. When he misses, it's right there.
Yeah, we haven't seen too many dots right in the middle of the strike zone other than the Charlie Blackmon home run. Salas has been down at the knees and on the corners.
40 pitches, 26 strikes. That breaking ball off the plate a bit. 2-1. Good change up there. 2-2. A hard one at 87. Ahmed. Nice backhand scoop by Goldie. Charlie Blackmon's second home run tonight has given Colorado a 2-1 lead.
the plaza getting ready for our post-game show. D-backs Live presented by CenturyLink. Jody Jackson, Brandon Webb, and Mark Grace. I know one thing we'll be talking about, Webby, will be Zach Greinke. Give us a little preview of your breakdown during the post-game show.
Yeah, both pitchers being very stingy with runs tonight with Marquez. Zach Greinke also on top of his game, so runs were at a minimum tonight. We have the top of the order coming up, though, down 2-1. We'll see if they can get it done.
The central figure for the Rockies, Charlie Blackmon, once again.
Yeah, that Woolly Booger's hit 2 solo shots, and right now that's enough. 6 big outs left.
All right, we'll see what the Diamondbacks can do on offense with Pollock and Goldschmidt and Lamb coming up, guys.
That's right, Jody. The heart of the order, 2, 3, and 4 here in the 8th inning against left-hander Jake McGee, who's on for the second night in a row. AJ has singled and walked tonight, 1 for 2. D-backs have been out hit 6-5. They trail at 2-1. We saw Jake McGee come on to work the 7th inning last night. He got 3 outs on 11 pitches. One of the reasons the Rockies gave him $27 million to stick around over the winter. Got a 3-year deal. Find the seats. I don't know what Gracie was referring to, but I think we got a new nickname for Charlie Blackmon.
The Woolly Booger, I believe that's a fly fishing.
Okay.
You know, one of the flies that you tie. And
for the trout and the whole thing.
Sling it out there.
Got it. Kind of fits.
It does.
Can always find a Gracie jersey here at Chase. McGee's a hard thrower, that mid to upper 90s fastball. Came in, got him to pop up. This one's trying to get to the seats, and it does. Dodgers have taken a 5-0 lead over the Giants now. They're in the 4th at LA. Padres trailing the Brewers 5-3 at San Diego. They're in the 7th. And things are not going well for Gabe Kapler in Philadelphia. They were in Atlanta, and the Phillies beaten by the Braves 15-2.
Through the first 2 games of the season, the Phillies had used 15 pitchers in 20 innings. The most in Major League history.
Now, you're the former manager here, but I don't imagine you could manage every game like it's Game 7 of the World Series 162 times.
No.
That seems to be Gabe Kapler's plan.
Well, today the starter Vince Velasquez went 2 2/3, gave up 7 runs, and then 5 relief pitchers trotted out there, including outfielder Pedro Florimon, in a 15-2 loss to the Atlanta Braves today.
Whew. Ouch, big. Broken bat roller to Story at shortstop. And how about this? The Cubs and Marlins are playing extra innings again.
Really?
6-6 in the 10th. They played over 5 hours. What they go 16, 17 innings last night. So they're playing extra baseball in Miami again. Goldie's had a tough night, 0 for 3, struck out twice, and still does not have a hit this season. He has, however, walked 4 times and scored twice in the series. Hard to short, right to Story. Hang with him. Jake Lamb now. Jake 0 for 3. Rockies put the shift on. You see the shortstop Story right in front of second base umpire Gary Cederstrom out there. Arenado the only defender on the left-hand side. There's a strike. The Lambs are ready. Now you saw that fastball away from Jake. He believes that when he's in there against a lefty, he gets a pitch on the outer half of the plate, he can go to left center. That's what he thinks might be the answer to his problems against lefties. They're going to try it again here. Fastball down and away. Try to get it out there. It's 1-2.
Partner, great job by the fans in this opening series against the Rockies. Almost 49,000 on Thursday, almost 24,000 last night, over 33,000 tonight, almost 106,000 people for the opening series.
People have been excited all winter long about this team. And it's been a terrific series so far.
Yeah, come on out. Dodgers rolling into town.
Ooh. Trying to ring him up on a slider. Just off the plate a bit for Corey Blazer. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Another left-hander on deck, Daniel Descalso. Last night's closer saved number 1, Brad Boxberger. Warming up in the bullpen. Andrew Chafin's been down there ready for a while now. 2-2 on Lamb.
Jake Lamb wearing that number 22. Diamondbacks fans will remember Devon White, center fielder, wore number 22 back in the day.
Are we not men? No, we are Devo.
Devo. Well, that's one thing the Diamondbacks have been very blessed in, having tremendous defensive center fielders. Devon White and Steve Finley and Chris Young, now A.J. Pollock.
Yeah, that's a good call. You're right. That's quite a legacy.
Yes, it is.
Got him on a fastball. McGee once again comes on, works a 1-2-3 inning. We head to the 9th. D-backs down 1. Chafin is on. Fan streaks were made to be broken. Make history. You can win $5.6 million. Download Beat the Streak today. That's a very popular game in our booth. I am up to 2 after singles today by David Peralta and Joe Panic.
So we're tied at 2.
Yeah. Got to start somewhere. The greatest journey begins with but a single step.
There you go.
So here is the sheriff, Andrew Chafin. A terrific season in the bullpen last year. 71 appearances, 61 strikeouts, both career highs. Carlos Gonzalez leads off the Rockies' 9th. D-backs have the shift on. Andrew came on in the 7th inning opening night to face the lefty Blackmon and walked him. That was the only batter he's faced so far this year. Archie Bradley came on, got LeMahieu to hit into that double play ball. There's the shift. Fastball misses in. It's a ball and a strike. Andrew Chafin's got a nice natural sink to his fastball. Slider and changeup. And he's a very good ground ball pitcher. Case in point right there. They retire Cargo 6-3.
Left fielder,
Another left-hand hitter, Gerardo Parra, 0 for 3. Chafin last year, in fact, among the best in the league in terms of ground ball to fly ball ratio. Guy who was a closer as a college freshman at Kent State. Was converted into a starting pitcher, was a starting pitcher for a long time in the Diamondbacks minor league system. And when we first saw him in Cleveland back in 2014, he was a starting pitcher. Made his big league debut as a starter in his home state of Ohio at Progressive Field against the Indians. But has found a niche in the big leagues as a left-hand reliever. And I know Mark Reynolds used to be the sheriff around here, but with that mustache and his country boy demeanor, the sheriff just works.
Yeah, most days he's wearing cowboy boots and a big rodeo belt buckle when he shows up at the ballpark.
Got me a new job, marshaling. Henry Fonda, my darling Clementine. There's his strike, 1-2. I mentioned that Chafin and his wingman Zach Godley threatened to ride into evening on the diamond here on horseback. That was much discussed. Didn't happen that way.
I don't think anybody would have been surprised.
No, absolutely not. Another ground ball for Chafin. 2 down. Diamondbacks in the home half will have Descalso the pitcher spot and Ahmed 5, 6, and 7 due up.
Ryan McMahon.
And they got a new closer, of course, Wade Davis back there. We've yet to see him in a Rocky uniform. Ryan McMahon struck out his first time up against Fernando Salas. McMahon's a guy who had a big year in the minors last season. Double-A Hartford, Triple-A Albuquerque. He hit .355 with 20 home runs. He can really swing it. Got that left-hand swing that kind of reminds you of guys like Will Clark and Ken Griffey Jr. That's just pretty fluid left-hand swing.
It's always a left-handed hitter that you describe his swing as pretty.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's never a right-handed hitter.
It's funny, he's got the Goldie sort of bat tap from the left-hand side. Steven Souza Jr. does that as well. The barrel of the bat kind of hits him in the back shoulder blade. And there is Wade Davis, the Rockies' brand new $52 million closer. 1-2 on Ryan McMahon. Swing and a miss with a slider. Good inning there for the sheriff, Andrew Chafin. Bottom 9 Diamondbacks coming up. outstanding. 5 2/3. He gave up only 1 run, struck out 9. But one of the runs, one of 2 Charlie Blackmon solo homers. That's been all the offense for Colorado. And now they turn it over to their new closer, Wade Davis. Brought in on a 3-year, $52 million deal, the highest annual salary for a relief pitcher in baseball history. His numbers with the Cubs last year.
79 punch-outs in just over 58 innings of work. Only gave up 39 base hits in those 58 2/3 innings.
This is a guy who was a back-end rotation guy in Tampa Bay, kind of a 4th, 5th starter type. They put him in the bullpen, and he has become a multi-million-dollar all-star man.
Fastball, cutter, curveball combination from Davis. Likes his cutter. He has a 4-seamer. He'll try to throw inside to righties from time to time.
Daniel Descalso will lead it off in the D-backs 9th. Pitcher spot is behind him, and Ketel Marte is on deck. Descalso singled and scored the D-backs' only run in the 4th. He's 1 for 3. There's that cutter. Rockies front office really focused on the pitching in the offseason. They signed 4 free agents. One of them was Chris Iannetta, the catcher. All the rest were relievers: Shaw, Davis, and McGee. And we've seen all 3 tonight. Descalso gets it in the air, shallow center. Blackmon is under it. 1 away. It was a short night last night for Ketel Marte. Ejected by plate umpire Eric Cooper after he struck out and slammed his bat on the ground. And afterward, Torey Lovullo had to admit that, as he said, Ketel kind of got what he deserved. Just can't act like that. So a chance for redemption right here with 1 out in the 9th. There's Eric Cooper working 3rd base tonight. He didn't actually say anything. It wasn't that he said a bad word. He just got run. Cutter came inside to the left-hander, a little too far, and it's 2-0. Bradley caps are ready.
Yeah, turn it up a notch if you're Ketel Marte. Likely to get a mid-90s fastball right here from Wade Davis. Get it ready. Oh, he went to the cutter.
Left it in a bad spot, too.
But that's a good take. If that's not the pitch or the location you're looking for, the count's still in his favor at 2-1. I believe this is another cutter. Going to try to go inside this time. Yep.
Tied him up, and it's 2-2. Nick Ahmed on deck. Bounced a curveball that time. 3-2 on Ketel Marte. Got him.
We talked about that backdoor cutter to left-handed hitters earlier in the ball game. That one's still a little bit off the corner. I don't think it was ever in the strike zone, but a nice job by Tony Walters to make it look good.
Nick Ahmed has had a big series. He doubled in the second inning tonight, 1 for 3.
Just find a way to extend this inning. Alex Avila has come into the on-deck circle. He's got pretty good numbers against Wade Davis in his career. 4 for 15 with a couple of homers. He's also drawn 5 walks against the Rockies right-hander.
And he caught Wade Davis for a while last year when they were both on the Cubs. Nick coming off his career high 5 RBIs last night. He's knocked in another run today. Gracie, Webby, Jody standing by. D-backs Live post-game show after our ball game from outside the ballpark at Chase Field. Four-seamer 1-2.
Really tried to overthrow that. I think it was a curveball, not sure. Really spiked it in the dirt that time.
D-backs, including the wild card game, have won 10 of their last 12 against the Rockies. They've already clinched a series win. They're trying to get a chance for Avila here, overcoming a pair of Charlie Blackmon solo homers. Two and two on Nick Ahmed. Missed upstairs with a fastball. Full count, 3-2.
And just like last year, so vitally important for the Diamondbacks to get off to a fast start. 18 of their first 21 games against National League West opponents, including the first 6 of the year.
Looking for some 9th inning magic. Went back to that cutter, got him. Davis gets the save, and the Rockies get their first win this year. But the Diamondbacks will settle for 2 out of 3 against Colorado. And we'll see these guys 16 more times this season.
You always try to pull something good out of every loss, and I think the good tonight was Zach Greinke. A lot of concern about Zach, the way his spring training went. Pitched on the backfields an awful lot. Didn't get to see much of Zach this spring, but his first start of the regular season was outstanding.
Well, Brandon Webb standing by to break down Zach Greinke's night along with Gracie. They're standing by with Jody Jackson. Jody.
That's right. Thanks a lot, Steve. First loss of the season for the Arizona Diamondbacks. We knew it would happen eventually. Obviously, Zach Greinke did perform very well. But, Gracie, I think they just got Blackmon tonight.
Yeah, that's all it took was 2 very long home runs by Charlie Blackmon, one of the best hitters in all of baseball. You got to be careful with that guy, and unfortunately Charlie was a one-man gang tonight because the Diamondbacks ran into some tough pitching from the Rockies.
Now we'll hear a reaction, of course, coming up in the post-game. And Webby, real quick, previewing what you'll break down with Zach Greinke and what he was able to do, fanning 9 through 5 2/3 tonight.
Yeah, he looked real good. You know, Steve said it right. You know, if any questions were in anybody's mind, erase those, because he looked excellent. All the pitches looked just as nasty as they were last year, located really well. And so overall, I liked exactly what he did.
All right, plenty more coming your way on the postgame show. It's D-backs Live presented by CenturyLink. We'll hear from the manager, Tori Lavello, Kate Longworth in the clubhouse with reaction on the night that was, of course, the 20th anniversary of the very first Arizona Diamondbacks baseball game here in downtown Phoenix. But the Rockies, they win it by the score of 2-1. A close one here, but the D-backs do take the series with the Rockies in the first series of the season. Stay with us. Postgame is coming your way right after the break.